All right, so for expository essay paragraph 2, you're going to be doing very similar to what you did for paragraph 1. But this second paragraph is about what life was like in London and in England during the 1600s. So basically, during the time that Shakespeare was alive, the late 1500s to early 1600s. So again, I've provided you with a link to an article. This is about the Elizabethan era. So while Shakespeare was alive, Queen Elizabeth was the queen for the majority of the time that he was alive. And so we tend to call this era the Elizabethan era because that was who the queen was. And so you, again, will want to open a Google Doc so that you can copy and paste article quotes from the article. Really make sure that you're focusing on what it was like to live in London or in England at this time. There are some details in the article about London and how London was portrayed in literature. That's really not what we're trying to get at here. What we really want you to focus on is what it was like to live in London. So, like this paragraph right here, I would honestly skip it because it's talking about how London is portrayed in Shakespeare's writing, which is not really what we're focusing on. Okay, you want to focus more on court and royalty, making a living in London. Okay, how did people make a living? Poverty and the plague. What was it like? For people there. So make sure that you're focusing on those aspects about what life was like for people in London versus how Shakespeare might have represented London, because that's really not our focus. Our focus is truly what it was like to live in London or in England at this time period. So again, open up a Google Doc so that you can copy and paste quotes from the article so that you have them ready to go. Then you are going to again write a Schaeffer method paragraph describing the time period in which Shakespeare lived. So you need to have, again, a topic sentence that states the main idea. So the main idea should be a statement about what it was like to live in London in the late 1500s and early 1600s. It should not be a specific fact. Right? Your topic sentence should not be a quote from the article. It needs to be your own words expressing, London was a diverse place in the late 1500s and early 1600s, or London faced many challenges, or whatever you glean from the article. Then you want to have a concrete detail that shows, whatever you say. So if you're going to say that London was wonderful, then you need to find an example in the article that talks about London being wonderful. If you want to talk about how London was a terrible place for the poor, great. Find a quote that represents that. If you want to talk about the royalty that lived in London, great. Find a quote for that. But you want to make sure that your quote matches what your main idea is. You do want to use a citation. So your authors are Rasmussen and De Jong. Those are their last names. So you can either put that in parentheses at the end of your quote, or you can say according to Rasmussen and De Jong. 2 commentary sentences showing your analysis or explanation or adding more details. Again, that is in your own words. And then a concluding sentence that restates your main idea. Again, like with the last one, this is a minimum. You're encouraged to use more than one concrete detail, but just remember that you have to layer those concrete details and commentary sentences like we did in the last paragraph. Your paragraph does need to be color-coded to be graded, and this one is also worth 5 points. Again, it's complete, incomplete. So if you have complete, then you're good. If it's incomplete, then you need to go and look at my feedback and make revisions and resubmit. If you have questions, please email me or call into a Zoom time. Thank you. Have a good one.